What's good, everybody? Welcome back to Hope Views, and today we will be discussing our top movies of 2021. Let's go. Subscribe to my page if you haven't so far. If you like trailer reactions, you like movie reviews, you like Firearms Friday, all those things. If you enjoyed those, please subscribe and come back and check out more videos featuring me talking about the things that I love. Now, let's get into the top 5 movies of 2021. Now, I say top 5, but really, I almost wanted to make it a top 10, but I decided to go with a category of 5 and then give you like 3 honorable mentions. The reason why my movies are ordered the way that they're ordered this year is not because these movies are better than any other. It's really more about the caveats that are included when watching something. So caveats meaning these are things that you have to think about or you have to know about coming in to watching this film to fully appreciate it. So that is why Spider-Man is at my number 8, Spider-Man No Way Home. I know that my wife is the reference that I tend to use for the general audience. So just people who don't follow the MCU that closely, people who don't know every single actor by name. I tend to put my wife in that category as that group of people. Like she represents them for me. And even though we haven't seen Spider-Man No Way Home yet, I have a strong feeling that when Tobey Maguire walks onto the screen or when Andrew Garfield steps onto the screen, it won't be that big, huge reaction from her because she doesn't really remember all the Spider-Man movies. This was years ago, and movies aren't really dedicated to her memory like they are for some other people. So that takes away from the overall experience of having like all 3 Spider-Man in one movie and having all these villains come back around. Like it just wouldn't hit that hard with a person who's not that collector. So that's why I put Spider-Man in my honorable mentions. Same thing goes for ShangChi. ShangChi was a great movie with high rewatchability. I enjoyed it a whole bunch. I think I've seen it like 4 times already. And I wouldn't mind sitting through it again. The caveat that comes with Shang-Chi is that if you don't know all the Marvel stuff, there's characters that just won't hit. Again, referencing my wife, I think about we watched Shang-Chi together and she never connected the dots that Trevor Slattery was the same Mandarin in Iron Man 3. It just didn't click for her. As well as when they had the conversation about the Mandarin at the dinner table and she was like, what are they talking about orange? What are they talking about the Mandarin? I don't follow. And we had to pause and talk about it. And then it all came home. And those are the types of things that I think about when it comes to putting movies in the top 5. It's like, not just anybody can walk in and pick up these movies and fully enjoy them the way they're meant to be enjoyed. The fans really grasp the situation quite a bit better than just the casual viewer. So that's why those 2 are in my honorable mentions as opposed to being in the actual top 5, because they were 2 great movies, really great movies with high rewatchability, high entertainment values, but just not enough to make the top 5 cut. The other one that I'm leaving out of the top 5 would be Vacation Friends. I thought that was a very, very good comedy in a movie climate where we don't get a lot of good comedies. So Vacation Friends was excellent in my opinion, but still just not exactly what I'm looking for to say top 5, you have to watch it. Maybe it's the R-rated nature of it. Maybe because the jokes may not land for everybody. I don't know exactly what it was, but something about Vacation Friends kept it out of my top 5, even though I do feel like it was a very, very strong comedy. Getting into my top 5, I would have to say No Sudden Moves with Don Cheadle and just really an all-star cast. Benicio del Toro, Macaulay Culkin, there was a lot of names, Matt Damon, just a lot of names present. A really, really, really good cast. Well-shot movie, well-directed film, very, very under the radar. It came out in the middle of the summer. It was an HBO Max and day-and-date release, and it didn't get a wide release. But it's one of those movies where if you really appreciate good acting, good writing, and some drama and a twisty, turny type story, this was one of the better ones. I enjoyed it. There was a lot of tension without having to do too much. It was entertaining, although it wasn't something that you would probably rewatch a whole bunch of times. So I think that it was a really, really good movie, and it deserves to be one of the ones, if you're only gonna see 5 this year, like that might be one of the ones you wanna watch, because It was good. It was very, very good. And again, stands out with such a great cast and very good writing. And then based on true events, I'm a history person, so it lent itself to me in that way. I would recommend No Sudden Moves. It was very, very good. Fourth on my list is one that I decided to put on my top 5, but there's a huge caveat that comes with it, and that would be Demon Slayer, the Mugen Train film that was released this April. Now, that is one that is definitely not for everybody. I have to say, definitely not for everybody. Really, it's only for anime fans or people who understand anime humor, because there's quite a few moments in the beginning of that film that can lose an audience member if you don't know anime or if you don't understand the humor that they tend to use. But if you can get past those two things, there's a beautiful story of Rengoku and, his childhood and then his battle and then his ultimate demise. Like, it brought tearful emotions to me. And then I watched it again with the Demon Slayer re-airing that arc on Hulu, and I watched it subtitled, and still those moments towards the end still hit very, very hard, still resonate very strongly with me. So I definitely have to say that one is one that you should definitely check out if you like anime and if you get that humor. It's something that I would like to introduce more people to. I think it was a very well done film. All right, getting to number 3. This one is real tough because there's no caveats to this. This is either you watch it and you like it or you don't. And that is kind of how the critics fell and the audiences fell on this one. And I'm talking about Old. Old gave me probably the best experience of watching it as I watched it this year. I watched it at home. I did wait for it to leave theaters and come to, home video. But I did get it and I did watch it. And I was very entertained to the point where I was, recommending to people I know specifically who like the mysteries, who like films that have a twist to them. I was like, I reached out to people and said, hey man, you should watch this. This flew under the radar. A lot of people didn't like it, but I find it to be very, very entertaining and very good. Again, one of the best first time watching experiences that I've had all year long. Like, I watched it and I was just blown away by how good it was that first time watching it. And I've watched it 3 times since then, and almost each time you catch new things. And I've talked about it with other people off screen. We've talked about the things that they noticed, the things that they kind of predicted, and then the things that kind of threw them off and that they didn't realize that would actually happen in the film. So Old is in the top 3 for me. I really enjoyed it, and I would really recommend it for a person who's a fan of mystery or just a good movie with a twist in it. Not big star power or anything like that. Just what I feel is a well-written, well-executed movie. 2 is actually a weird one because it was released in 2020, but it wasn't released to wide audiences until 2021, and that is Judas and the Black Messiah. I've been riding on that train, on that vehicle, since the beginning of the year when I saw it. It was one of the best movies that I saw at that time. Very powerful acting from Daniel Kaluuya. Loved the performance by Lakeith Stanfield. Loved the big splash performance from Dominique Fishback, who's also in some other stuff this year. And it made, thinking about the timing of it, thinking Project Power, she was in that, but I don't know which one was released first. Regardless of that, this has introduced her to the world in Judas and the Black Messiah, and I really, really enjoyed her role as well. It was a very, very, very well done movie. I love the history angle to it. I love the fact that they showed you a whole nother side to the Black Panthers that most history teachers don't teach, that most schools don't teach. I just thought it was very well done, and it may not be as great rewatchable or entertaining to some, but it's hard to argue about the performances, the direction, the writing, the faithfulness to real life that this movie brings. So I enjoyed it, and I would recommend it to almost anybody. If you want to see some good drama, some history-based drama, great performances, Judas and the Black Messiah is top-notch stuff for the whole year. Very well done. And getting to my number 1, and truly I don't feel super strong about this number 1. If it wasn't for the caveats that came with ShangChi or Spider-Man, it could easily be replaced by one of those. But my number 1 for the year, because it has no caveats, if you're just a fan of science fiction, you want to see some drama, you want to see some action, you want to see a great setup for what is going to be an even greater conclusion, in my opinion, that's Dune. Dune was like everything that I hoped it would be. And that is not something that actually happens quite often. Most of the time we watch these trailers and we get hyped up and we think, oh man, it's not gonna be, it's gonna be all these things, and then we get in the theater and it's kind of a letdown. Dune was not a letdown to me. Seeing it in theaters, seeing it a few times at home, like Dune is very rewatchable. It's very, very good. The only thing that I feel like was misdirected by the trailers of Dune was the impact or the role being played by Zendaya. She did very well in the movie, but I just expected her to do more. But that's the only thing that I thought was kind of off or just not well done with Dune. Very, very, very good movie. Great soundtrack, great score, great acting from Timothée Chalamet, from Josh Brolin, who was super intense, from Jason Momoa, who probably gave one of his best performances of his career here. Even though it was short-lived, it was very, very entertaining and good stuff to see from Jason Momoa. So I don't know how people feel about that. I feel like it's my number one because it hits a lot of marks for me as far as good performances, good cast, science fiction, action, entertainment. Like, it was really good. And it's one of my top for the year. And if we were to replace it and just say, hey, you know what? Just go with the most fun that you've had in the theater. Maybe it's Spider-Man. Or just go with the one that's the most rewatchable, that most people will like, and maybe it's ShangChi. But if I'm thinking about it in the order that I'm thinking about it and going about my process the way that I did, I kind of land on Dune being the number one. What do you think about my list? Do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong? Is there things that you would replace, or would you make a full top 10 as opposed to top 5 with some honorable mentions? What would you do with a list? Let me know in the comments section. If you've enjoyed the video and you've watched thus far, please subscribe. Enjoy yourself. Guard your heart. And please come back, check out more videos.